Hello, and welcome to CoronaNomics, brought to you by Econ Films, where we talk to the world's top economic thinkers about how to tackle the planet-wide economic emergency thrown up by COVID-19. I'm delighted to welcome Professor Edmund Phelps of Columbia University. He was the founder of Columbia's Center on Capitalism and Society in 2001, and in 2006, he was the winner of the Nobel Prize for Economics. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor Phelps.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're in Manhattan at the moment. That's the very emblem of American capitalism, if not global capitalism. So let me ask you first, does it feel a bit like capitalism is on pause there with the lockdown at the moment?
I think there's a huge amount of work being done at home, although it's not visible, maybe. What else do we do in our lives if we don't work? And I think we're all working away.
It's famously known as the city that never sleeps. Is it having a kind of enforced sleep at the moment in some ways with the economy being in lockdown?
That's right.
Let's talk about the bigger picture. I mean, you're a thinker who's very keen on innovation and a believer in the vital importance of economic dynamism to increase human welfare and flourishing. With the lockdowns, is that agenda sort of having to be put on pause, at least temporarily?
Now, yes, I think that the intuition is correct that innovation has been made more difficult. On the other hand, there are some new steps being explored. A lot of firms that, I don't know what they were doing before, but suddenly they're working on ways of killing the viruses. Who knows? Maybe we will suddenly have some breakthroughs in the biochemical area that we wouldn't have had.
But obviously a lot of the sort of the day-to-day economic activity, restaurants, bars, gyms, theatres, all those things that New York is famous for, that is on hold, isn't it?
Oh, sure. The streets are bare. The aggregate income earned by New Yorkers has fallen a whole lot. I mean, the city is dark. The entertainment industry, the opera, the orchestra, just about everything I can think of is shut down. So that's going to show up in the data. And that's, of course, a phenomenon found also across the country. A lot of workers have lost their job and their pay, while another set of workers are still on the payroll, but they have to work at home. And generally speaking, I think that's less satisfactory. So I think that probably output is going to be a bit lower on that account too.
So let's talk about the sort of the policy-making response to this. In America, Congress has passed a $2 trillion package to try and help the economy at this time, help people at that time. In your view, $2 trillion, is that enough, or are we going to actually need more?
Oh, I think it was probably the first crack at the problem, and there certainly will be more to come, probably with different objectives, different focuses. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, is already beating the drum for a new set of it. I don't think we have agreed on what to call it, but a new set of interventions.
And in terms of sort of a figure on that, how much do you anticipate America could end up spending in trillions of dollars? How much do you think?
We could certainly do another 2 trillion. Done one, why not a second?
So
Sure.
It could actually need to be twice as big as they've currently done.
Yeah, we could do another one just the same size. And then I suppose there'll be a wait and see, and conceivably will be a third one, depending on what the needs are seen to be.
So you're talking there $6 trillion, that's approaching a third of US GDP. That's absolutely huge, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And from almost the beginning of my career, I took the position that public indebtedness is not something that's benign. A lot of my colleagues thought, the bigger the public debt, the better, because that will increase aggregate demand. But I'm afraid that there is now a feeling, even among economists, that we don't have to worry about the increase in the public debt because, the real rate of interest after adjusting for inflation is just about zero. I think that's short-sighted. I think there's more to it. I think the economists are missing it. When there's a huge increase in the public debt, then that paper is the assets of some other people, the people who've acquired that debt. So I think that households around the country in the aggregate, certainly not every household, but households in the aggregate in the economy will find themselves having acquired a considerable increase in their wealth, and there will be a lesser supply of labor. If people have become much, much, much wealthier in the aggregate now, I'm not talking about every man, woman, and child, if they have become wealthier that way, while nothing has happened to the capital stock, they may retire earlier or just be lazier and don't think as much about investing in new ventures, new ideas. I think it could make us all lethargic. Imagine if we have a colossal public debt. I think this is unexplored territory, but I think it's dangerous. I do think we have to go down that road a bit because of the crisis, but it's not without some perils.
Some might describe that as a kind of socialistic policy, socialism in action. Is that how you would describe it?
I don't think there's an element of socialism there.
Could you describe it as corporatism in a way? Corporatism, like in the 1930s, perhaps? Was that more similar to this?
Yes. I've been a ferocious, by my standards anyway, ferocious critic of corporatism, the Mussolini phenomenon in which the head of state goes around deciding which firms, which corporations, which companies to support and give a green light to, and which companies to stay where they are. Mussolini was sort of like a puppeteer, controlling the directions of the economy. He didn't do too badly, by the way, but this is not something that we want in America as a general rule. And I've criticized it in my book, Mass Flourishing. The downside of that is that corporations don't have the autonomy. They're at the mercy of the government. They don't have the autonomy to launch new projects for fear that such a project would not get the approval of the leader, Il Duce. So corporatism historically has been a disaster for lots of countries, and we don't want to go down that road. Capitalism is 1,000 times better. But now we're in a paradoxical situation in which we got to save capitalism. And to save capitalism, we're going to need the government to spend some money to prop up failing corporations. And in some cases, I would go farther and say that it would be perfectly okay for the government to give some money earmarked for some new directions, like researching means of killing off the virus.
But that's so fascinating.
I wouldn't call this socialism.
But did you ever imagine that you would effectively find yourself in a position of advocating a degree of temporary corporatism to save capitalism? To my horror, I find myself okaying temporary corporatism. Yeah, right. Well, thank you again so much for talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very, very much for inviting me.
We will be talking to many more top-level thinkers in the weeks ahead to discuss how we can weather the economic hurricane blown up by COVID-19. So please do stay tuned and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, if you like what we're doing, please hit like and share. This has been CoronaNomics, brought to you by Econ Films. Thanks for watching.